Lions fans? Welcome to the Detroit Lions podcast, episode 497. This is the joy. The Detroit Lions are on top of the world. This is the official Detroit Lions podcast for Reddit. I am your dashing host, Chris, and with me is my good friend, glorious co-host, and recent Cato Kalen wannabe house guest, Andy the Sandman. How are you doing, brother? Good to have you back again, man. It's so good.
I'm good. Always nice to be back.
I love having a sleepover. It was so fun.
I had bottom bunk if anybody's interested.
He is a power bottom. We got a lot to talk about today. We got some warm-ups going on. We're talking about the Buck game. Seemed like only one Buck showed up. We've got the injury and depth situation. We'll cover that for y'all. We're going to talk about who is the number one offensive line in the league. And we've got a free topic. It's going to be a fun one. We'll talk about that. And we'll look ahead to the Baltimore Ravens. Got all that going on and a whole lot more. We've got a wunderbar show lined up. Are you ready to go, my man?
Let's do it.
Let's kick this off and break it down.
All right. Got the chant rolling in from the chat. Good stuff. Really quick, we'll do a thank you to the one and only Donald Small. Thank you for the subscriber. We appreciate that. All you subscribers mean a lot to us. It helps us do the things that we do and do it in the way that we do it. Because who doesn't want us to do those things in that way like that? So thank you for the subscription. Please subscribe, like the show. It helps other people find us, helps us do all the stuff that we want to do. Remember, when you watch it live, you don't get the ads or any of that stuff. We do that for the folks that join us and have fun in the chat and do all the stuff. So thank you. Also, don't forget, this is the season for St. Jude. I got to give a big thanks to Kate, who dropped a $500 bing bang over the week while we were away. Ooh. And thank you, Kate, bringing us up to $1,580 on our way. Remember, November 3rd is our big old party, our overnight 24-hour juice-a-meter. The juice-a-meter, we'll call it that. 24 hours. We have some great interviews, some great stuff, some great guests joining. It'll be a lot of fun. In the meantime, go to stjude.org/DLP. stjude.org/DLP. That's how you know it's real, because it's St. Jude. And donate a couple bucks if you got it handy. Please do that. It helps us get to that challenge that we've got out there, and it helps us support a very, very worthy cause. All right. Let's get into it right away. Warm-ups. There's two key topics we're going to use to get things warmed up and get it rolled. The first one, we've got to talk about the Tampa takeover, Andy, because you were there, my friend, and you were so there that you made the McAfee show, my friend, on Monday.
Oh. You know, sometimes you just got to get on Pat McAfee. That's just the way it is. You know, what an insane experience. I've been to so many Lions home games. I've been a season ticket holder for 13 years. I've been to literally every single home game. And this game was nuts afterwards. It was nuts during the game, just how loud the amount of Lions fans did get in that stadium when the Bucks came out. And the boos were overwhelmed, the cheers. That's insane to me. But afterwards, man, in the hallways, I've never experienced noise to that level, enthusiasm to that level. If you follow me on Twitter, you saw that I gave out probably 2,000 high fives. Yeah. My hands are still look like this. I don't have full use of them yet. It was amazing. It was truly a sight to see.
It was fantastic. There's something you said that day, and you've been to two very, very significant games, and you said those weren't even as loud and nutso. And I want you to kind of make that comparison, because
this is probably going to make Red Wings fans really upset, but I've been to Red Wings Stanley Cup championship game winning games, and the crowd was nowhere near like this. Like, you know, like, this is the top. It doesn't get any better than this. I know that there's less fans theoretically, but man, like, it just, like I said, the enthusiasm was out of this world, completely out of this world. I'm sure that everybody that was there didn't have a voice the next day.
Yeah.
I ate like 12 Ricolas just trying to get back to so I could tell the TSA agent my name.
Call me. I still don't have my voice fully back. It was insane. It was so great. The videos and Sandman, and give him a follow, please, folks, at Sandman7773. How are you know the slow lights are out? If you don't go there, you go there so you know when the slow lights roll. He's got, and not just that, he's got some of the most creative, interesting, and he finds everything tweets. I'm surprised that your followers aren't higher, Andy. I mean, you should have double what I do. There's no question about it. I mean, you're a way better tweeter than I will ever be.
I think some of it's, I don't do that follow back thing. Yeah. No, Chris, you have the exact amount. You don't even have enough. You need more.
I don't do the follow back thing.
I'm fine with my group of fun Lions fans.
Fine. It was bazonkers. The post game in the stands was just a riot. Before we left, Penei Sewell running, giving high fives. Tracy Walker handed his gloves out to two little kids in the front row, and just celebrating. Bugs, man, going off. Watching Khalil Dorsey and Rodrigo stand on the field, and I tweeted that one out as players are running around, just looking in awe at the stands. And I turned and got a bunch of video of the stands. The entire visitors' side was blue. It was crazy. And that was during the game. It was incredibly a great time. And the players, Hutchinson just couldn't believe he stood there and looked, and he's in the videos too, just stand there like, oh man, they couldn't believe the fans. I want to tell you, there was a lot of news this week about fans going at it in Dallas and between Dallas and San Diego. There were some brawls going on there, and then in Chicago, in a very Chicago way, it was blue on blue crime, it was Chicago on bear crime. Bears fans fighting each other. But after 6 games, your season's over. Of course, you're going to get frustrated. But it's lol Bears. The Lions fans were class, and I just wanted to thank, not just for coming out, but for the attitude that Lions fans had, because it was truly a celebration. It was like Bourbon Street Mardi Gras in that concourse afterward. And I felt bad for him in a way. There was a Bucks fan that had to walk through that sea of blue to get to the exit. He had the same exit that we did, and he had to come from the far corner. And he came through, and he was obviously angry. It's his home stadium. I get it. It was him and his wife, and he wasn't a very tall fella. Kind of blogger height, but he just came rolling by, and he looked at me, and he just had pure hatred in his eyes. And I don't know why he picked on me. I'm just holding the camera and just kind of like soaking it in, right? I mean, I was like, yeah, whatever, but just mostly just soaking it in. He turns to me, he goes, "You guys have never been to a Super Bowl." Like, that was the mean thing. And I was like, and I turned and I said, "Thanks for visiting." It's ours, bitch. We took your ship. We took your stadium. We took it all. It was a grand time. Fans, congratulations to you. Well showed. Great. Like I said, a Mardi Gras kind of atmosphere. No violent jerks. It was just really top shelf, man. What a way for Detroit to show up and show out. That was great stuff. So thank you, fans, for being so great, and everybody who was there. It was a great time. We'll talk more about that. Want to get to the next of the warm-ups as we gather for the show tonight. 1,000 days. 1,000 days. It's been 1,000 days today, as we record this on the 18th of October, since Dan Campbell gave his opening kneecap speech. And it seems 1,000 seems like a really big number. Yeah. But if we think about where we were at the end of the Matt Patricia era, I want folks, I don't want to hurt you, but please take a moment, think back to where you were in the Matt Patricia era and where you are now with this team, and just how different, because 1,000 days means everything for Lions fans.
Yeah, 1,000 days is insane to me, but at the same time, that's such a fast turnaround. When you consider what this team looked like when he took it over, and then they traded Matthew Stafford immediately, and they, made all sorts of moves that were a team that was in full full rebuild. This, wasn't a 2-3 year thing. This was going to be a 5-year thing. And they, kind of alluded to that. And, just how fast it's happened.
Yeah.
It's really been incredible. The talent gap between, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it later, but we have so many injuries right now, but it doesn't matter because the bottom line of our talent is so high that
Yeah.
Tracy Walker is a starter on other teams, 100%. And he's a starter here with CJ down, but Melifonwu even looked fantastic in the game he played. We've got backups that are not just serviceable, they're above average, and that's incredible. That turnaround's so fast.
There was a point, you want to talk about crazy. It was Iffy, Will Harris, and Jerry standing 3 in a row. Iffy on the right, Will Harris in the middle, and Jerry on the left. And I just laughed because they were 3 completely different body types. And Will Harris is like you slammed Iffy and Jerry together. Jerry is this brute. This is just a brute of a dude. He's not super tall. He's 5'11", I think, 6 foot. But he's just a freaking brute, man. His calves, like you think about the injury he went through with his ACL, and you look at both of them. And you look at the calves on this man and the work that he's had to put in, he'll kill you. He'll kill you with his calves alone, man. Crazy. And then Iffy, he's a tall, kind of a slender guy. And I get it now where some of those injuries are coming from because he doesn't have as much meat on his bones for the height that he carries. But when you put them together and you look at Will Harris, he is just a brick house, man. My guy he's like, I don't know, he's probably 6'2", I'm guessing. 6'1", somewhere in there, and built out. And it was just funny to see him lined up in a stack like that, to see like, oh wow, these are 3 completely different body types. Oh man, and the guy in the middle plays both positions.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yeah, I mean that's one of the things, right? Like how many people wrote off Will Harris as he's out of here, he's a Maurice Buffet, he's, who knows who. And like this coaching staff just continues to get, things out of these players that, didn't look possible at the time.
Yep. This coaching staff, congratulations to you for bringing something to Detroit that hasn't been here. I don't remember this in 91 when we did win the playoff game. I don't remember this I remember all the fun in the Barry area. I went and saw him at the Silverdome so many times. What was the thing that happened at the Silverdome, Andy? What was it?
The best blowjob you've ever got?
Yep, walking out of that building. Woo, that was great. But Barry, the Silverdome years, even those great years that we had, they weren't like this year. Brad Holmes and Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell and the rest of these coaches, Dre Bly, who hasn't gotten much talk this year, but boy, look what that secondary has done. Yeah. Dre Bly. Steve Hayden, tight ends coach. Nobody's talking about him. Have you seen the tight ends? Have you seen Sam Laporte out there? Have you seen what's happened? Yeah. This staff has brought it. And fans look, there's a lot to celebrate. You watch the games, you see the win column, and you're like, yeah, but it's these guys putting in the work. And I'll say one last time, last year's team was the turnaround team. That 2022 Detroit Lions team deserves the shout out. Well, some people were tweeting that, joke of a franchise or whatever else. That was the team that turned this ship right and turned this thing in the right direction. 1,000 days, season 3, yeah, and here we are.
And you said it feels different, right? I was thinking to myself earlier today about how I felt in 2011 when they started 5-0. And it's so different. It's the weirdest feeling because those games and that team felt like it was a puncher's chance, right? Like we could throw haymakers with the best of them, and we happened to catch 5 teams in a row. And then we fought against a complete fighter, the 49ers.
Yeah.
And they showed, they made us look like who we really were. And, not to get too ahead of myself, but I kind of feel that way about the Ravens. I kind of feel like the Ravens are the 2011 Lions, and we're the 2011 49ers. As confusing as that is.
Yeah. I love it. All right, let's get into it. Let's review the game. Let's talk about what we saw out there, because what a heck of a time it was for Lions fans on TV, in person, everywhere, the world around. The Detroit Lions entirely destroyed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Coming out of a bye, the Buccaneers did not even score a touchdown. They had 2 weeks to prepare for the Detroit Lions, all the film in the world, and couldn't even put a touchdown on a man who was much maligned early this year, Aaron Glenn, and his defense.
Yep. We're going to keep talking about turnarounds here, but Aaron Glenn seems to be unflappable. It seems like every year or whatever, we have one of these games where something is wrong and, something bad happens. But yeah, he stays, to the course. He knows the players that he has. He knows that he'll get them in the right position eventually. And this turnaround has been absolutely insane to me. When you look at the defense that we have this year, it's really not that different than the defense we had last year. We added Cam Sutton, who is an unsung hero on this team right now.
Yep.
He doesn't get talked about, and when you're a cornerback and you don't get talked about, that's good.
Because he doesn't get thrown at, right?
yeah, exactly. So, we're not that different, but the production is so much higher and is so much better. Aaron Glenn's really, locked up his role here.
Yeah, 100%. And we love us some Aaron Glenn, don't we? I got to talk a little bit about, we had a lot on we had our coverage from the game. Just want to talk about what happened as far as the tailgate for folks, as some folks know, but a lot don't. We went out to eat. We went to a really nice restaurant. I'm not going to name it because it's a great restaurant, and it's things happen sometimes, I guess. But the Lions linebackers were there the same night we were, and there was no issue for them. I ate something that did not work out well at all. Had this game not pushed back, I'm not sure we would have been able to make it. Shout out to Pepto and Imodium for helping me make the game. It was, the very last thing I did was one last electrolyte dump before we left. It was, and then I got in the car and we went. It was a little bit dodgy there in the beginning, but we made it. We came around. We had to get some stuff, our tickets at a certain spot, our sideline tickets. So we were going to do that, and we had to come in from a different direction, and the cops shoved us into a parking lot, and we were absolutely where we didn't pay, but they let us in anyway. And we're the opposite side of the stadium with a cooler full of beer, a bunch of food, table, chairs, and easy up the whole thing. And we were basically all alone. We were late because of the whole situation, but we got there. Didn't drink any of the beer. Didn't eat any of the food. Didn't even drink. I brought a water just because I figured I'd sweat out and fill at the same time. So there was no other place for it to go. But it was rough, man. So we went. We did our thing, and we got there, got the tickets, went in, and made it right down to the sideline. Got some hugs from Craig Reynolds. Met his college roommate, who was
very cool,
absolutely awesome. Levi, I see you went to Frenchie's. Very good choice. I took Andy down there too. Colin and the crew down there. It was really, really good. It was a good time there. Frenchie's the place to be if you're going to be in the Clearwater area. Anyway, we went in, got to the sideline, talked with a couple players, coach, the whole thing, did our thing. Great picks, up close, interaction. It was fantastic, Andy. And God, it's good. When you're local and you have, your local connections, it's a great way to get things done. So thanks to our friends who took care of us to get us down there. Fantastic. And then did the Penguin walk back. They gave out, I didn't have it with me, darn it. My wife might be listening. She might throw me one. They gave out birth control as we were walking in to the stadium, the little orange Tampa Bay Buccaneer bucket hats. Guaranteed to prevent you from getting laid. So they're creamsicle. They're cute. But anyway, there's that. Got to the seats. We were in great. We were right behind the bench, second row. Andy, Different experience than you're used to, right?
Yes. Yeah, much different.
Interactive
Much different.
more than you're used to, right? But
Yeah, like you're way closer to the players. You kind of, focus on that more, not during plays, obviously, but you see the body language. You see the coaches talking to whoever they're talking to. You see, the players hyping each other up, getting ready to go. Yeah, it's completely different. So my normal seats, for those that don't know, I'm like at TV camera height at Ford Field, and I'm at like the 35-yard line. So I basically have, the TV angle live. So I see everything. It's a really nice look at the field for watching football. But yeah, no, I mean, it was fantastic. The players were interacting with us, pumping us up.
oh yeah.
Alex Anzalone came over. I'm sure all of you guys saw the picture of him with his family. Apparently, his family was sitting 5 seats away from us, and
he was
yeah, it was
he was
great.
looking for him the whole game. And by the way, you have those gilded seats at Ford Field. Let's not forget the big high back with the arms, and they're all golden. Anyway, name engraved, right? It says Sandman the Kang, I believe. But anyway, Anzalone's sitting just a couple seats away. And the thing about Anzalone this game that was interesting from where we were at, throughout the game, I noticed he was looking up in the stands. He was looking for somebody, right? And just knowing his story, I assumed it was family or something. And he kept looking. And after the game celebrations, they had met in the middle of the field with the other players. Job well done, job better done. Thank you, Dan Miller. Credit to him. He came back looking again, and we were giving him the Gator chomp. Right? Got it. Because my son's a Gator. Go Gators. And so we were trying to get him to Gator chomp at us and interact and have some fun. And he's like, no, not right now. And he was looking. And then he locked in and saw him. And he came over and he jumped up on a box that was over by the sideline. And it was his parents. At the moment I didn't know it, I shot the video. I tweeted it right away. And it was his parents. Got his picture taken with him right there. I mean, we're just out of the picture on that one. Like I said, got video. And it was absolutely heartwarming. I mean, amongst everything else, right? The sea of emotions as a Lions fan that were going on that day, to see Anzalone see his parents after being trapped overseas and the whole thing was just amazing, right? Just a cherry on top of everything else. It was absolutely fantastic.
How lucky was it that box was there? It was like in the literal perfect spot.
Yeah.
It was the only spot that box could have been.
Yeah. Oh, for real. Just a second. It did get delivered. Thank you, baby. This is the prophylactic device that they were handing out at the beginning, guaranteed to prevent you from getting laid. Great birth control. And there it is. That's the what they were giving out. They're cute. They're creamsicle. It's kind of fun, but it'll stay away from the
creamsicle jerseys were awesome, man.
Yeah,
they were super cool.
It was awesome. What else? Just from the stands perspective and the sideline. Just as a result of everything else going on before the game, before we got there, we weren't going to do any sideline reporting at that point or YouTube reporting. It was just one of those things where it was like sweat on the brow, let's get through here. So everything settled down. It was great. Game started and it was tense, Andy. That first quarter, you know the feeling, right? You sit down, You're ready for the game, and you're like, and then nothing was really pushing too hard one way or another. We got the 3, okay, that's great, but there was tension, waiting for it to break out. And it didn't feel. Maybe it's me. Maybe it was the sitting there. Maybe it's historical. It didn't feel really kind of good till we got to 17 points. I don't know. You know what it is, and maybe it's an old school Lions fan thing. But until then, once we hit 17, I started feeling a lot more relaxed. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's kind of that way for most Lions games for me, because I've been there too many times where you look at the score and you're like, oh, the Lions have this in the bag. And then, oops, they don't. And oops, they don't. But, man, like any game that's like this where the defense is doing work, part of you expects that they can't keep this up all game. There's going to be a breakdown. Something's going to happen, because that's just kind of what happens. That's kind of what happened to the Bucs on the Jameson Williams touchdown.
Yes.
Is they just got caught in the wrong defense against the perfect play, and that just kind of happens. But it never happened. It just never happened. And you talked about it a little bit earlier, but the Bucs coming off of a bye and not having a better game plan of how to attack us is a testament to this staff and their ability to impose their will on the opponent.
And you can take this game from exactly what you said, Andy. I'm double stamping it, and look at the KC game. Everybody told us how Andy Reid, when he gets time, he never loses. He never loses. He always out schemes. He always beats the other team when he has the whole offseason to scheme and beat and work. And here we show up, and Andy Reid lost at home on Super Bowl banner raising night. And it happens again when they get a good 3-1 Bucs team. They're not a bad team. Their defensive line, oof, man. And when you look, we'll talk about our offensive line. But if we didn't have that offensive line, it could have been a whole different story at this game. Ooh,
yeah,
man.
they were doing work. It was like two juggernauts, hitting each other in the face.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's the thing, right? Is that the Buccaneers are not a bad team. They've put up points on other teams. They've prevented points from other teams.
Mm-hmm.
They're not, winning the Super Bowl this year or anything like that, but they're like a decent team, and we made them look like a bad team.
Yes.
We made them look horrible. And that's really what the Lions have done to the last, what was it, four games in a row?
Yeah.
5 games in a row?
Yep.
I guess 4, but yeah, like we've won by 14 points or more. That's incredible. That doesn't happen in the NFL. There's a reason why you could have the 2008 Lions against the 2021 Kansas City Chiefs, and the spread would be like 7 points.
Yeah.
Because it's just too crazy of a thought that a team in the NFL is going to win by that margin. We've done it 4 weeks in a row. Crazy.
It is absolutely insane. We were told by a lot of people for a long time, and I'm doing my dance, I'm doing my lap. I get it. I deserve it, folks. So just go with me. We were told that Jared Goff could not win a game. He's a guy that can win games but can't win a game for you. I would say that Jared Goff is prominently in the seat of the guy who won the game for us this week. Oh, if you throw 40 passes, you're losing. Jared Goff, Offensive Player of the Week this week, and did it by winning a game for the Detroit Lions. My guy keeps getting better, and he is who I thought he was. He is one heck. I mean, some of those throws were just some of them. Like if anyone watches, if you want to really have a good YouTube kind of feed, add the JT O'Sullivan quarterback school stuff that he does. He does some really, really good analysis. It's Sandman slow lights. There's something about seeing the line play and the wide receivers breaking and the coverage at this slower speed, the slow motion, and seeing how these things fit together. All of a sudden, these concepts like, holy shit, I get how this works. I've learned so much about football because of slow lights and slowing it down and just kind of analyzing those plays. JT O'Sullivan does that. He does multiples. He does the whiteboarding on the screen and stuff. He did a great video on Goff, and he calls them out. He had a couple of throws that were bad. Some of them were because they were hurried. And he says, to quote JT O'Sullivan, former Lions quarterback, sometimes good enough is good enough, and you get away with it. And we had that a lot with Matthew Stafford. You have it a lot with Tom Brady, right? The throws aren't always perfect in the basket, but man, when they needed to be, they were. And Jared Goff got this team to where it needed to be this week. Man, oh man, what a guy.
And I'll be the first to admit that I was one of those Jared Goff isn't going to win you a game, but he's probably not going to lose you the game either sort of guys. And this year it's been the resurgence. Or maybe it's brand new Goff to go along with our brand new Lions. I honestly, Dan Campbell talked about it recently about how Goff is improving. He's getting better. And he's getting more comfortable in this offensive system, and he's getting more comfortable with his receivers.
Yep.
And that's, and you can see it. You can see, put the tape on from last week and put it against any of the previous Jared Goff games, and you can just see it kind of click where he's throwing guys before they've even made their final cut. He's fitting it into tight windows. He's not afraid to let it loose. He's throwing down the field at a crazy rate, like a very high rate.
Yep.
And that was the thing that always bothered people about Goff, is that he was check down Charlie. He was going to take the underneath safe throw that may not get them the first down or the touchdown, but it, was going to keep things moving.
Yep.
And that's not what he really is this year. It's been quite a sight to see, and I'm excited to see what they decide to do with him contract extension wise. I know there's still Lions fans that hate the idea of that. They think that Jared Goff is QB purgatory, but I just can't agree with those people at this point.
No. Jody mentioned seeing passes from behind the quarterback really shows how insane some of the throws are. From the broadcast angle, you just don't see how tight those windows. And that's something, Andy, I wanted to talk about with the lower view from where you normally sit. There was one, I have a video, that one I shot, and there's a couple other ones where you see like the Jamo drop, right? You are like the Jamo drop, that ball was coming right at us, right? I mean, it was on a line from Jared Goff's arms to Jamo's hands, and one of the Amon-Ra out routes coming the other way was the same thing. It was right at us, and he came running down right in front of us as he came out of bounds. Just watching that ball at that angle versus from kind of the more TV angle is pretty crazy, isn't it? And seeing what those windows are like and how fast that game is and how things open and close in a heartbeat, man. It's incredible to see.
Yeah, I mean, God. Goff had a throw to Amon-Ra, I think it was in the third quarter, where it was actually a no-look pass.
Yes.
It was kind of crazy. He kind of tilted sideways, drew the linebacker out of the way, and threw it right where the linebacker used to be. And yeah, like that's kind of stuff that, it's harder to see from up high because you have the TV camera angle and everybody looks like there's a lot more space than there actually is.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the kind of the nature of that angle, I suppose.
Yep.
But yeah.
Jamo, I was wrong on the Jamo drop on rewatch. In the game, it looked like he ran deep on the route and had to come back. But it was just Goff getting juiced up in the pocket and having to get rid of it and just didn't deliver a good ball to him. Jamo looked freaking beautiful there. It'll be interesting to see what happens because most of Jamo's snaps were run plays. And that kind of talks to you about, is this easing him back? Is this a confidence thing from the coaches? When you saw what Jamo did, right? I don't recall Dan Campbell checking back his enthusiasm with somebody before. But that's one, right? Like as he was celebrating it, then he caught it and said, that's one. There's obviously something. I think they're building something. This is the turn we want from Jamo. Like folks know, we've talked about it before. We want to see him turn the corner. It's absolutely what we want from Jamo. And maybe he is. And God, that would be fantastic. I'm there for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's one of the things where I'm at is with the players, like with Goff. I was in on Goff because I knew what we had in Goff. People just didn't like it. And we talked about he doesn't have anybody to throw to, right? It was a decimated roster left behind by Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia. It was actually worse than when they left. Of course, no quarterback's going to perform well in that situation. I mean, Geno Smith was a turd ball until all of a sudden he got on a team. And now look at him. He's Superman. He earned an extension, right? So much depends on what you are surrounded by as a quarterback. Brock Purdy, I'm pretty sure that he's not much on many other teams in the NFL. Not dogging him. Hope he gets the bag out of this, the whole thing. But it's just so much about what you're with. Jamo's a thing, man, that it looks like he might be getting it, and I hope so. I hope so because I think I would love to see him pay off and be what he's supposed to be, or even a close fraction to approximation to what he's supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, we've all been waiting for full Jamo forever. It feels like forever.
Yep.
We've been waiting, and I don't know why this is, but he seems to get so slowly rolled into the game plans. Like he was ready to go last year, started to practice, and really didn't get a full workload ever last year. Even he was never a featured wide receiver.
Right.
And it's been the same this year. Obviously, started out poorly with the suspension. But yeah, I mean, they really are doing exactly what they said they're going to do. They're working him in.
Yep.
They're getting him used to it. And part of that is, like you said, it was mostly run plays. When he trotted out there, um, I'd have to relook, and I'm kind of speaking out of my butt here, but it felt like 2/3 of his plays were either just clear out for the running back or, block and just get your hands dirty.
Yep.
And, which is fine because we're winning with the way that he's being used. The real hope is that when he is fully unlocked and fully a part of this roster and running full route trees and doing things differently, that this offense just lights up.
This might be, just based on what we've heard, this might be the coaching staff making him pay dues to get the payoff. And he's paying them. That could be the trajectory we're seeing. Go out and block. Show us that you're going to be in there. Show us that you are committed. Now, there's something I want to talk about with that drop pass, because bad pass, drop pass, whatever, however they count it, I don't know. This is something that other teams, corners and safeties right now are absolutely shitting their pants over. They're absolutely having a conniption, because that stop and the defender literally, they said it in the chat, on skates for another 5 yards down the field. And he just stood there, had his nails done, checked the wind, checked his texts, and then the ball came, right? I mean, he had all day with all that separation. If you're covering him and he can stop like that and he can go like that, what do you do? Are you always ready to stop and kind of playing it tight and then he's gone? Are you always running the long dash and he stops? He just effed up about every single defensive coordinator out there with that play this week. That he is going to get, and that's something you talked about as we were watching the game before. He would pop up there and they would give him, the safety would give him 10 yards. They would back up way down the field and give him all kinds of cushion. Now, I mean, it's like you have to press man and top cover this guy. Like, you have to have two people on Jamo at all times. Otherwise, he will beat you. He will absolutely beat you. That's crazy to me. That is crazy to me, what kind of a weapon he's turning into.
And that's the scary thing, is that generally in the NFL, long wide receivers like Jamo that have the ability to do what he does are effective, but they're not as effective because in order to get the ball to guys like that, you need time. You need to be able to have time in the pocket. You need to be able to look at all your options and decide, oh, this long ball feels pretty good. And the Lions are built for that. The Bucs defensive line is a very, very good defensive line.
Yeah.
And I couldn't count how many times Jared Goff took his, 5-step drop, took another 2 steps forward, and there was nobody within 2 yards of him. Just nobody. And he had the time to do whatever the hell he wanted. And when you have that much time and a guy that can put the jets on, and you have time to put him into double move situations where he fakes the stop and then goes, like, that's just...
It's 12 yards separation.
That's so hard. Yeah, it's so hard to defend. It really is.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare.
This is absolutely crazy. All right. Montgomery, we'll talk about him in a little bit. He looked really good while we had him. There was the split route outside to Montgomery. They didn't throw it to him. They went with a different play. And then Montgomery was out sick. And then they did this exact same formation with Craig Reynolds. And they did throw the ball to him. It was one of those Ben Johnson deals. It was like, wait, it's like, wait, they already did this. This is going to be, oh, wait, no. It went to Reynolds, and Reynolds went for, what was it, 20 yards, something like that. Great run, stacked it up. Reynolds, and I attribute all of this, of course, to him and I meeting his college roommate and having a great conversation while we were there. It was the dust. It was the Chris dust that just dropped on him, and he had this career day. I'm sorry if my dust injured Montgomery, but Reynolds came up. That block, I'm not sure I've seen a man that size fly through the air that far since I last watched a Superman movie. Holy shit, he got blown out of his shoes, bro.
Here's the reason why you put guys like Craig Reynolds on special teams. That was a special teams block. That wasn't a normal play block. That was I've got 15 yards of running head start, and who gives a crap? I'm throwing my shoulder into your chest.
Yeah.
I'm clearing the way.
Mhm.
You know, that's not a guy that's afraid of contact, and you know, special teams will do that to you. Will give
Yeah.
you that confidence,
Absolutely.
give you that luster.
You look at our if you include our tight end, Marvin Jones Jr., MJJ. We know about him. That's okay. But from PFF scores on the season, Laporta is the lowest at 75. That's crazy. That's crazy. It is all beautiful. Goff is a 90 rating.
Mhm.
First in the NFL. Number 1 in the NFL. Gibbs, 62 rating. I mean, our offensive line across the right is just blown all above 80. Decker, oddly, is 63. Played injured. It's interesting to see that his is, I don't want to say that low because 63 is not a bad score, right? And then even ayahuasca, Yodi, he's down there at 61 and a half, right? I mean, he's right in Decker range. That O-line has been, we'll talk about it, but they have been standing up and giving Goff the space to throw, and him with that confidence, he will just tear you apart, man. He will tear you apart.
Yep.
All right, let's take a quick look on the defensive side of the ball. Jerry Jacobs, earlier in the season, he had a 40 ball on his PFF score, 62 now, right? Cam Sutton at 70. Our corners are looking like they're good corners. Tracy Walker blowing at a 70, right? Kirby had a little bit of a tough game. It's all right. They were trying to hammer him. They thought they could get him. At the end there, do you remember? I was like, they got to pull him. Don't put him out there. He's cramping. Don't let this guy get hurt. Like it was like their last drive. He was squatting down on the ground on the 2-minute warning. They were pouring Gatorade down his throat with a funnel like it was a college frat party. I mean, they were trying to get him back. In between plays, he was just stretching, trying to keep it straight. He played it. They tried to pick on him in specificity, and he was able to say, no, thank you very much. Anzalone, Barnes, tight end or linebacker core. Everyone was all 70 and above. 70 and above. This defense, juicy, buddy. It is juicy and delicious. I love what we're seeing from this team.
It is, you know, and one of the things that I think makes a defense so good, and especially a defense like the Lions, is complementary football, right? I mean, we're talking about not just cover corners, not just guys that are sticky in coverage, but that will run up and do run fits. You know, there was that crazy play that Jerry Jacobs made on the screen pass where he dipped. He looked like James Houston. He dipped. He like crawled on his knees to get past the blocker and got to his guy for, I think it was like a 2 or 3 yard loss.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just everybody's doing their job and they're doing it well. When you only need to worry about what you need to worry about, everything else becomes so easy.
Yep.
And that's always the problem. And that's the problem that every team has in the NFL until they don't.
Yeah.
So,
Jeff Hoffman saying our corners got torched a few times, though. Bad throws and pressure saved us a few times. That's the NFL, bro. That's why that's the number one position for a goldfish memory. Do not hang on to anything. It's play to play because you've seen it. We've seen it a million times. Perfect coverage gets beat by the perfect throw and perfect catch. It happens to the very, very best out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to happen. That's the nature of the game. But if your percentages are high enough, it's like having a 3.5 yard average on the run. No, okay, that's fine. Every 3 downs, you're gonna have a first down. You're good, no problem, right? You don't see a fourth down. You're done. 3.5 yards per run is a great average. If you average enough stops, you get burnt once in a while, they'll move the ball a little bit, but they're not going to beat you, and they're only going to wind up with 6 points. There you go. So defense looking good out there. Special teams, Fox got himself a game ball.
oh yeah,
I remember the guy behind us. Poor guy. I do feel bad in a way for Tampa fans, and then I remember I've been Lions fans in that exact same situation, so I don't.
Yep.
But the guy behind us kept just crowing about the punter on Tampa, and he would boom the snot out of that ball. But with some of the second pinner punt that Fox put up there, I turned and I was gonna say something like, "Where's the punter guy?" They'd left the game already by that point. They gave up on that great punter of theirs. But Jack Fox, the entire team on special teams looking good. A little bit of a miss on that field goal there. Andy, do we always just go for it on the 40 and longer? Is that really it?
I think if it's a 55-yard field goal or more, I think that's just Dane Campbell go for it zone. Punting it doesn't make sense. You might only gain 15 net yards. That's not really worth it. Yeah, I think that's kind of the thing. And you brought up the fan. I was talking about the punter all game, and while we were there, I was thinking about this, and I didn't say anything to you because I didn't want the guy to hear me or whatever. But that's what bad teams do. Yeah. That's what fans of teams that aren't living up to their potential do. How often were we talking? There's a reason Don Molback, Jason Hansen,
long snapper
Matt Prater, like that. All these guys are folk heroes to Lions fans, and it just days gone by,
Yeah, that's nuts. Bugs out there looking great, and on the sideline, this is one of those things, right? That interaction you get. Bugs was there, and he was like telling fans, he's like he play after play he's making, he's beasting it out there. He's like, see, I told you, I told you. There's even Jamo, I saw somebody in the chat saying, hey, yeah, Amon Ra on one podcast said, hey, Jamo, maybe celebrate the team next time. Jamo had something to prove. Bugs has something to prove. Jerry had something to prove. These guys all are running with a chip on their shoulder and have something to prove. And it's made them better players. It's helped them keep that kind of underdog mentality. It's that grit, that Dan Campbell attitude for this team. They have been able to embrace it and found what their chip is and just carried that. And it is really, really something. It is fantastic to see. Anything else about the game? What didn't we cover, Mr. Sandman, sir?
I don't know if I have any major thoughts that it's just such a good win for the Lions. It really is. It's a we are who we thought we are kind of win. Yeah. Right? That we're not just a knockout artist that can sometimes take teams out, but then other times can crap the bed. That's the biggest takeaway. And now I think we're going into the game. That is the litmus test for that.
Yes.
How do we do in Baltimore with their, quote unquote good defense and their scary quarterback?
Yeah. We'll talk about that because we've played some mobile quarterbacks this year. But first, we want to talk a little bit about the injury and depth situation. Where do the Detroit Lions stand? Well, Montgomery, rib cartilage. And Andy, you have an eye for live ball. I love watching games with you because you're like, yeah, he's down. I was like, and everyone's like, oh shit. And you're like, yeah, he hit his ribs. He went down on the ball. And then we're like put up, and then the how do you see shit? So you should be an official. Actually, you could actually call games correctly because you actually see what the frick is going on in real time. My brain and eyes don't work at speed like yours do. You are like special.
My friends are constantly annoyed when we're watching sporting events. I'm like, you see that guy in the stands picking his nose while drinking a beer? I don't know. It just I don't know what happens. It just does. But yeah, no, as soon as he went down and I saw that tackle, I was like, he's going to be hurt because he landed right on that ball. And anytime one of these guys lands on the ball like that, that ball's not soft.
Well, Brady ball, right?
Yeah, that's true. That might be why he did it, to help his running backs and wide receivers stay healthy. But it was like right in his bottom of his chest plate. Right where, all the ribs are.
Yep.
And, my fear at the time was that he broke a rib. So I'm really excited that, it's just something that can be worked through instead of something that's, going to take him out for the rest of the year.
Yep. The other one you saw that nobody saw, I think it was a touchdown that was called back for offensive pass interference on the Bucs. In the moment, you're like, he pushed him out of there. Like you were like full, like, oh man, it's still hurts my throat to yell. You were full on angry. I'm like, Did he what? And it was like at a little bit of a weird angle, but I was like, he pushed him. Are you sure? Like what the heck? And everyone and Tampa's like, yeah, oh yeah, no, that's defensive pass interference. Fuck it, that's our ball. It's our points. That's our points. And sure as shit, like you look at the replay on the big screen, it's like, damn, Andy. And it's funny watching. I was watching the Slack chat a few times. I'd check in on it. How far behind I would have the play, the Andy, like almost bang bang. And then the replay on the big screen and be able to say what happened, and it wasn't even on TV yet. It was crazy how long that delay is. But it was. I should just do an Andy feed. That's really like forget the Manning feed. Just put Andy in the stands, and you'll know exactly what's going to go on and where the calls are going to go. It's crazy.
It's harder with Ben Johnson, but with Jim Bob Cooter, with Scott Linehan, yeah, I used to be able to sit up in the stands and I would tell whoever I was with, I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be a screen pass to the left. And, there's lots of Lions fans that I'm sure can do that, but it's harder.
Call.
It's hard. Yep. It's harder with Ben Johnson, and that should say something.
Yeah. Hey there, Mike. How you doing? Good to see you, brother. Thanks for joining us. All right. Lots going on. Let's see. I think we covered the game. Yeah, we're at the injury piece. We signed Mo Ibrahim. Cool.
Yep.
That's nice. That's we've got some depth there. Anything else in the injury front that you want to cover quick, Sandman? Because I don't have an extensive list. I didn't do that. There was one other piece that I wanted to go to in that space issue.
We talked about Montgomery's injury and bringing Ibrahim up, but man, our running back room is decimated with Craig Reynolds showing up like toe and a hamstring.
Yep.
Like that's kind of wonky. That's going to be something to see because, one of the things that makes this offense tick is that Jared Goff can count on everybody. Yeah. And I feel like Gibbs, Montgomery, and Reynolds, those are the three guys that he knows will be in the right place to get their block. They're going to go into the right spot for, their route. Once you start having to put Ozigbo or Ibrahim out there more, that kind of breaks down a little bit, and that's a little scarier. But yeah. I think, and I'm sure we'll talk about it, or you guys will talk about it later, but our bye week is coming at the perfect time.
Yes.
It is. Yes. It is the perfect time for this.
Yep.
And we're going to need it. We're going to come back full strength, hopefully. And feel really good about it.
Yep. We got Gibbs and Branch on limited practice. That's good news. That gets them ready. That'll be Branch is a big help if he can play against Baltimore. Bye week. Great point, Andy. Coming up at just the right time. I'm not feeling super terrified about you don't want to look past, and we'll talk a little bit about that, but about that Raiders game. Raiders game is set up as the perfect trap game if we come out like we think we will out of this Ravens game. I don't want to give too much away, but there's that one. There's something else breaking, some news in the NFL, and I want to talk about this. Young man Derrick Henry isn't so young. He's 30 years old. He's in the last year of his contract. The Titans believe he's slowing down. They want to get him to a contender before he goes. Now, traditionally, whenever Lions fans have heard someone say they want to send a player to a contender, and it's like, oh, well, then we're out of the mix. It's different this year. And
sure is.
If you look at a guy like Derrick Henry, is he going to look? He's perfect. He's perfect for a Brad Holmes 1-year contract after this year. He's perfect fit for that kind of thing if he can make it work. Do you give a fifth? Because he's not going to be. Look, they know that they're not going to get much of anything for him. They know he could retire at the end of this year, right? It's all wide open. There's not for a half a season of Derrick Henry. He's fine. He has slowed down a bit, but. You say that while we're sitting there in Tampa, he was in the top 5 speediest players of the week. So that was kind of interesting to see. Like 21 miles an hour almost, I believe. He's definitely got some juice in that tank. If we could get a Derrick Henry for like a 5th or maybe even a 4th for the rest of this year, and then you have the potential to pull him in for a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal. How do you feel about something like that, Sam, man? What are you thinking?
I don't know about long-term, but getting him for the rest of this year, I think would be incredible. I think he runs the exact way that the Lions want their running backs to run. He's good in pass protection. Defenders don't want to take him head on in the hole.
Yeah.
Because he'll run you over, he'll stiff arm you into the ground, he'll kill you in there.
And that's how we use Monty, right? But
yep, and that's exactly it. That's what Monty is.
Yeah.
And people, he's not as big as Derrick Henry. He's not like 6'8" and 300
9 million
pounds, but exactly, he's not the Incredible Hulk. But David Montgomery does that for us, and there's a reason why our run game has looked the way that it is. Because when you have a guy that turns 2-yard runs into 4-yard runs, and 5-yard runs into 8-yard runs, that is so valuable to a team, especially like the Lions, that they just want to be on schedule.
Yeah.
They're not trying to score in 4 plays, even though they can. They're trying to take time off the clock. They're trying to control the game, keep it on their level, keep it on their speed. And Derrick Henry, I think, is perfect for that. I think, you bring him on for this 1 year at the trade deadline. If the price is right, I'm with you. I don't. A fourth is like right at that teetering point for me, right? Where it's like, but
throw me a 7th back.
But we have to start looking at this. Where did Brad Holmes come from? He came from the Rams, who had 0 issues going balls out. Yep. We think that this is our year. We need to maximize that potential. And I think adding Derrick Henry to the mix would that would just really help out. Especially, we've had a ton of injuries at that position already. It never hurts to have another guy back there. I don't know who you take off the roster to put him on it, because I don't think Craig Reynolds can go, because Derrick Henry's not a special teams guy.
Yep.
But man, it's hard not to like when you have a fresh David Montgomery or a fresh, what do you do at the end of the year when your team's all beat up and you're facing a running back that's just coming downhill full force into dudes? And no one's going to want to tackle that guy.
That's the thing. The Lions use our running backs to set up. Like, our first quarters, typically, you see a ton of runs. It's just tenderizing the defensive line. It's tenderizing the defense. It's opening up the pass. It's opening up the play action, but it sets up the rest of the game. And to have a punishing runner like Henry and like Monty, right? And then you have Gibbs and Reynolds. And here's Micro Mike. Henry, Gibbs, Monty, Reynolds, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Absolutely, man. I mean, the things you could do, 2 big guys, 2 quick guys, a combo of both, right? Reynolds on one, split out on one side, Gibbs on the other side, split out, Henry behind you, Laporta in a tight end. I mean, like, it's crazy what you could do to a team and how you could scramble the eggs. Who do you cover again is always the question. And that's one of the things, exploiting those matchups, that is the key to Ben Johnson, to have those kinds of guys available. Like, I don't even know what defense you put on the field at that point to try to stop the potential of all of those guys, right? Just crazy stuff. Just crazy stuff. And it's I love to see it. I love to think of it. The chance. I won't go too deep on this, right? I love dreaming about it. I love thinking about what it could be. I'm not marrying it yet, but looking at how things are going right now with the Detroit Lions, and the running back room, and how much we depend on it, I just think that there's potential. There's a potential to roll the dice for Brad Holmes there.
I agree.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Let's keep rolling. I will get to. We just got another donation. I will get that in a second. Really quick, we'll move on to the next thing. Please donate now to St. Jude. I just heard the little thank you come through in the back. I didn't see the name pop up. That's my bad. I apologize. But we did get a donation, and I'll read out the name shortly. Thank you for everyone who does that. stjude.org/DLP, fully 100% deductible from your taxes. If you do your taxes, then that's a good thing for you. stjude.org/DLP. Help sick kids, their families, help them not pay a dime for the care and health that helps them get to a better place at one of the most desperate times in their lives. So again, please go to stjude.org/DLP and help us help those families out. All right. Oh, and on November 3rd and 4th is our 24-hour podcast-a-thon. We'll be streaming live for 24 hours again, raising money for St. Jude. Join us. It's a good time. All kinds of great guests. We'll have some awesome interviews, some fun stuff going on. Please join us. Help us raise some money and make it work. It's good stuff. Flounder, it was you. Thank you, sir, for the $50. You are a rock star, man. All right.
Flounder, you're the best.
He is. He's fantastic. Really quick, the November 3rd 24-hour thing, it's during the bye week. So we play Monday night, then we have the week off, and then we have the podcast-a-thon that week. So we won't do one on Wednesday that week, just so you know. The 24 hours is a long time. So we'll cover everything that we would have covered in the podcast and more during that 24-hour podcast-a-thon. So make sure to join us for that. It'll be a lot of fun. All right. Let's see. Where else are we at? Get to the next thing. Who is the number one offensive line in the league via PFF? Well, that's
a good question.
That would belong to your Detroit Lions, of course.
Oh.
Of course. I will tell you, and this is true. We've heard it from many, many people last year and this year. Everyone was saying, man, our offensive line is awesome, but if someone gets hurt, it's all over. Write the season off. It's done. Our depth is garbage. Our depth is trash. There's no chance. We're done. I would like to point at this offensive line and mention to folks that we are down 2 guards, 2 backups we have playing, and we have the number one MF and O line in the NFL. Hank Fraley is a rock star, ladies and gentlemen. Hank.
Yeah.
What was it? Senior Bowl 2019. We called him out as the man. And it was, I remember, Andy, it was those magic guys. You pointed him out, and I honed in. I was like, what? And I just very quickly became infatuated and watched him work and how he taught. He was a teacher, right? How he brought these kids up. It was incredible to see a coach the way that Hank did. And something that we saw on the sideline that was pretty friggin' amazing to me, and I hadn't noticed this before. I don't know if this is regular, but Colby Sorsdahl and Halapalavati Vaitai
nailed it.
Were standing by Hank 100% of the time. They were within 6 feet of him, and every time Hank would throw up a sign, they would both throw up the exact same sign like him. They were all through. Okay, coach, we got it with you, right? They won't miss it. We'll do it too, right? Incredible, just camaraderie. Those guys could have sat. They could have rested on the bench. They could have been messing around with the other players. They stood by their coach and walked up and down that line for the entirety of the game. They were no more than 8 feet away from their coach. There's something to be said about what he's built with that line and those people in that group. And that's what you're seeing, I think, in having a number one line with 2 backups that were the biggest tragedies to happen if they were to play on this Detroit Lions football team.
Yeah, it's so wild to me because not only were they, within a few feet of him at all times and calling hand signals, they were getting mental reps and they were actually getting down into pass blocking sets at times on the sideline and getting off on the snap count, like staying warm, staying ready, and that's so important, especially for an offensive lineman. We say this every year during the preseason. It's like nobody has offensive line depth.
Yeah.
And part of that is that guys don't get enough reps. Like, it's hard to get reps during practice. You don't want to beat your own guys up. You don't get a whole ton of reps during preseason. You kind of need to get into the swing of things as an offensive lineman for the most part. And really, Hank has just done such a great job that it's becoming so apparent his impact on this team and, what is arguably their biggest core strength.
Yeah.
The offensive line.
Yep. Vaitai didn't play. He was healthy. He was cleared by trainers. The coaches didn't feel he could move laterally enough for the game and the game plan, so he sat. He was a healthy sideline scratch. I expect we'll see him pretty soon on the field because he is the guy. Easy does it. If we think about Ben Johnson probably leaving, maybe it's best to go all in this year. There's not a whole lot of all in to do, really, as far as talent to grab out there. I'm telling you, I don't think that Ben is going anywhere. At this point, I don't think Ben is going anywhere. We've talked about that a couple times in a couple of these shows. There's a lot. There's a lot to being a head coach and a lot of reasons why you would and why you wouldn't, and there's ways to keep people. One of the things Hodges brought up, we've talked about that in the Slack, moments away from losing Hank in going to Pittsburgh. The Lions twirled their thumbs a little bit too long, and I'll tell you, to this day, Mike Tomlin is not a happy camper with the Detroit Lions, and a little bit with Hank too, because he thought he had him, and we were able to keep him, which was obviously huge thing. So, what would have been? I can't even imagine what this. We would be in a different spot if we didn't have this offensive line as a team right now. For sure. All right.
Agreed.
Oh man, let's see. We've got that. I want to get into just a little something. Introducing.
Ooh.
Two heads are better than one. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is out of this world. Coming to manscaped.com. Oh my gosh, I have to tell you all. Support for Detroit Lions podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who's the best in men's below the waist grooming. This week I was not groomed above the waist because, well, it's just bigger in other places. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped recently launched the Ultimate Men's Hygiene Bundle, the Performance Package. Join over 8 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code DLP. You can do whatever you want with that DLP. Go to manscaped.com for using the code DLP. Like I said, you gain a couple by just trim the hedges. The house is bigger. Let's put it that way. It's the way you go. Performance Package 4.0 by Manscaped has arrived, and man, oh man, it is a game changer. Inside this package, your package will find the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant, Crop Reviver Toner, Performance Boxer Briefs, and a travel bag to hold your goodies. That's 2 bags every trip you take. First off, the Lawnmower 4.0. This trimmer is a future of grooming, and I dare say the greatest ball trimmer ever. It is, until we'll talk about what's new. I'm blown away by the performance and the craftsmanship of this trimmer. 100%. The 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 is waterproof and also has a 4K LED spotlight, just because you need that kind of precise shave. All right? Your trimmer is waterproof. You can say goodbye to the mess in the bathroom floor. If you thought that was good, but you want to take your grooming even further to the next level, the Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker near, nose, and ear hair trimmer. Near and far. Get them both. The Weed Whacker is also waterproof and provides proprietary skin-safe technology. Because who doesn't want skin-safe? It helps reduce nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes. Who doesn't like those things? You got to keep those holes clean because, well, we talk about that later. The Crop Preserver below-the-waist deodorant and Crop Reviver below-the-waist toner will change the way you approach your daily hygiene routine. You'll have the freshest balls this side of the other side of that. Manscaped has even thrown in 2 gifts to their Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and Shed Travel Bag. Bring your comfort in boxers to another level. It's time to take care of yourself. Go to manscaped.com right now. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code DLP. Help us help these guys take care of your balls or other parts of your body as well. Do that. Manscaped.com DLP. 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use DLP. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Yeah. And that's that, man. Check that out. I have to go on talking about ball sacks. I want to talk about something a little bit that's kind of popped up in the conversation, I guess, around there a little bit. And I've heard that, this came out somewhere. Thank you for the free product, Manscaped. We appreciate you for that. Journalism, in quotes. I use it in quotes because it's kind of popped up elsewhere that people think we want to be called journalists here at DLP, or that the word journalist is something special. We've said it before. We've said it a number of times. We're not journalists. We don't want to be called journalists. Frankly, not the only reason, but there's no trust in journalism. Last I saw, the Journal is as a journalism, as a profession, was trusted less than Congress, which is at an all-time low. We've done all the things. We were credentialed by the Lions. We've been inside the Killer Kowalski media room covering the team. Sandman, did you feel like a journalist when you were there on our credential?
I felt like Sandman.
Yeah, okay. Gray, who does a lot of great stuff for us, actually worked with Killer Kowalski and was in a way mentored by him. They shared a lot. Gray's a very big student of the art of what we do and got a lot from the absolute best that's probably ever covered the Lions. We're credentialed at the Senior Bowl. We're there every year. We do it. When it rains, we're out there. Doesn't matter if it's a little cold. We do our thing. And I guess journalists do that. But we're not journalists. That's what it is. We're there. Shrine Bowl, we're credentialed there all the time. We do our thing. We cover that. We don't claim to be journalists. We don't gatekeep, saying that journalism is a big thing. Doing that just gives external voice to your internal imposter syndrome. So, look, we cover things that the media misses. We cover things that the media covers. We've helped, and this is not arrogance. This is just talking about some stuff for folks. We've made everyone, Lions fans, media experience even better. Why? Because we're the first podcast. There was one other at the time. Great guys, by the way, and they stopped. We've been doing this longer than anybody. We're kind of going into our ninth year of doing this. Everybody else that's around today has come after. They've all looked at us, right? Some have straight copied. Others have done their own thing. It's fine. Whatever they do is great. But the fact that we're here doing what we do has made it better for everybody. And that's the thing that I think I'm the most proud of. It's created competition. And as hobbyists doing this, helping the media get better at it, that's just a great way to do it. So to be fair, I did look up the word journalism and journalist just to kind of see, how I could show that we're not. And then I look at it and it's like the collection and editing of news for the presentation through the media. I guess we are journalists by the definition, but we don't claim to be. And it doesn't matter to us that we're not, because we are here to provide you with good quality content regarding your Detroit Lions. Because that's where the value is. And if you have this imposter syndrome that you think that that's going to make you something special, that's fine. But you should just be honest and call yourself a blogger if that's really what you're after, what you're doing, because it's okay. It's okay to be what you are. All right, with that, that's just a quick Mort Krim level response. We got a little bit of stuff, so there we go. Let's get into the more content. We have a look ahead to the game as Andrew returns from the restroom. Look ahead to the Baltimore Ravens game. I want to really do a quick chat about Ash and what he does as far as his coverage on these games and what's going on. He's done incredible work. And he does, depending on the week, sometimes there's not enough time or there's too much content, and he brings the offense and the defense into a single episode. This week, he's got time to break them out. We're going to do a big deal with the offense first. That'll be out tomorrow, and then he'll cover the defense. One of the things that Ash has been able to do, he's got a special kind of disability that allows him to really take all this stuff apart. That's his words, not mine, by the way. That allows him to see things and take these things apart. If you've looked at his offense and defense, how they will attack the Detroit Lions episodes, you will be stunned by how right he has been every single week. Great stuff from Ash. His daily stuff is just incredible. Just good stuff. He's got great insight. He's very, very good at what he does. Check it out. His dailies are great from Ash. Check those out. Great breakdowns. Offense coming tomorrow from the Baltimore Ravens, and he'll go into the defense. But for now, we're going to look ahead to the Ravens and Lions game. Andy, I'm going to go to you. What jumps out at you the most to this game? What is the big kind of key to victory for the Detroit Lions?
I think the key to victory is going to be containing Lamar Jackson, making him throw the football. Lamar Jackson has looked great this year. His wide receivers have looked awful.
Yeah.
Awful. If you can hold him into the pocket and you can force him to make fast decisions, that's where the Ravens offense really seems to struggle. And I think that's going to be the number one key, is having our defensive ends hold him inside, or if they don't, having the linebackers come up and make the proper read. Not letting Mark Andrews get behind you, and they're an interesting team for sure. I don't know if I would call their offense good by any stretch of the imagination, but they're a hard ask every time, no matter what. That's just the way that they are. It's hard to defend that.
Yes. I'll fix the banner right now. Sorry, folks. Complicated.
I didn't
business,
even notice it.
Right? Complicated business. Yes, he becomes a big problem, and I think part of the problem is that contained. I look to what we did with Patrick Mahomes, and how we were able to frustrate his mobility, and say this defense has it in it. It has the ability to contain a mobile quarterback.
Yep.
There's a more, I feel, vertical threat out of a guy like Lamar than there is out of Mahomes. Mahomes has just this massive escapability, and then he kind of to the sidelines, right? Where Lamar will run between the tackles. He doesn't care, right? He is absolutely a running back. I don't want to say quite a Derrick Henry, but he's a big-bodied running back if he wants to be, and can carry some boom with him when he goes. That's, I think, the unique threat that comes from Lamar that the Lions have to look out for.
He's leading them in passing yards, obviously. He's also leading them in rush yards, which is kind of a nuts statistic this many games into a season. He averages like 55 yards a game. And most of the time, those aren't, he doesn't have one big 40-yard run. It's 5-yarders on 3rd and 4. It's 7-yarders on 3rd and 5. It's back-breaking runs that get you, and I think the Lions will have a good game plan for it, but it's a point of nervousness for me.
Yep,
that's for sure.
Brandon, this could be the Kansas City Chiefs game with the exception of them having their main TE. That is absolutely one of the big differences. I'll go back really quick on the up the middle thing. I love our defensive interior. I think we've got the juice. I like Ancelone in a little bit of a spy guy role on Lamar as well. Their tight end, frankly, I like what our secondary's been doing. I think we're okay. I think we're not. I think we're good. I hate to say this. I hate to say this, especially as a longtime Lions guy, right? But I kind of feel like Baltimore is living on their history more than their present, if that makes sense. I don't know that they are that big, explosive, booming offense that they used to be. Am I talking crazy talk, Andy?
No. Watching a couple of their games this year so far, it's like Lamar by himself. And as long as, Nelson Aguilar and Zay Flowers are dropping balls, that's a killer for your own offense. And we've been the team that's done that in the past, and it's hard to get over that. But I don't think that this team is quite as good in reality as they are on paper. But that doesn't make them any less scary, or we definitely can't look past them as a team, because the X factor for them isn't Lamar Jackson, it's John Harbaugh.
Yes,
and his ability to come up with a good game plan and to see things the way that good head coaches see them. I think it's going to be this may turn out to be one of those coach first coach games that Dan Campbell's had a couple of these already, and he's won some and he's lost a few. So
the Carroll ones are the ones that are the most frustrating of those. But I feel you're right. John Harbaugh is incredible, and the Ravens. The one thing, like when I say they're not the Ravens of old, that doesn't mean that they're not a dangerous team. And that's where I want to be clear, because like you said, John Harbaugh, as their coach, makes them dangerous. But they're an NFL caliber football team. They're likely our hardest test for a good while now in our schedule. This is the one, and I don't want to look ahead, right? But this is the one that is going to be a big test. And if we walk away from this, the reality is, and I think it was my wife, it was you, we were all hanging out, said it's old Lions thinking to say that the Raiders game is a trap game. But that one really is a trap game if we win this game. I mean, it is to any team, not just a Lions team, right? Because you're flying so high, and you're looking at Josh McDaniels there going, and it winds up being a little bit of a trap game. But with the Ravens, I think they are an eminently beatable team, but the Lions absolutely have to be on point. What do you think? I kind of have this sense that, the history of the Ravens has always been their vaunted defense, right? And
Yep.
how well they play defense. Their secondary is fire, right? Their secondary and their linebackers are their safeties and linebackers are fire, but up front, not as much. We're a big runny team. I mean, that's funny. I think we can wear down that line, that defensive line. I feel like this is going to be a bit of a high scoring game, though. I feel like I want to take the over. And it's pure gut. You know what I mean? I just feel like there's danger. You had Zay, like you talked about. I mean, Nelson Aguilar is nothing to be really terrified of, but he's not a bad wide out. You got Lamar, the tight ends back. I just feel like this is an opportunity for them to put some meat on the table as far as score wise.
Yes.
Does it feel like this is going to be a high scoring game to you, or am I a little?
I'm not sure. The Lions have constantly surprised me with what they're able to do. Holding Kansas City to 17 points.
That's very good.
Really just like even the Panthers game. Like they scored, but it was all it was kind of garbage time where the Lions were just letting the clock run for the most part. I mean, this defense has shocked me at every single turn, and getting Brian Branch back to help cover Mark Andrews. I think it's hard to say. I'm not sure what this game is going to be, and honestly, that's how almost every game this year has been for me. I don't know what to expect. We could have a crazy blowout. We could, completely dominate. I think everything's on the table, especially when you're talking about a team like the Ravens who, are multifaceted. Like their offense can go off, their defense can go off, but will it?
Will we let it?
Not if Dan Campbell and the boys have their say, that's for sure.
Just keep doing this, right? Just keep doing this.
That's all we need to do. I would say that I'm interested in turnovers in this game. The Ravens have turned the ball over a decent amount. Lamar has, 3 interceptions. He's got 3 fumbles. They've got 5 fumbles out of their receiving core. It's kind of a wild time for them. And the Lions have shown this year that they have a knack for getting turnovers.
Yeah.
And that's been one of the major differences, between this year and last year, is the ability to just create as a defense and get your offense set up.
Yeah. I have to give a big shout out to Dave West. Thank you for joining the DLP Winner Circle, joining the channel as a member. Appreciate you, man. It's awesome.
Dave!
You get to see all our. Ryan is also a member. He has the clown nose Patricia flair. You get a little extra flair, and if you also get access to the Slack chat by doing that. So it's a good time. Join the membership. In the meantime, if you could, please, we do this. We ask once a show. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the bell button. Let yourself know when we go live. It's worth it. It's fun, and it helps us do all the things. Helps people find us. Helps us grow. Helps us do all the fun stuff and survive in this difficult world. So like, subscribe. Appreciate you folks for doing that. Thank you very much. It's easy to do. Just click the little thumbs up down below while you're watching. All right. Let's get right into it. Let's talk about Jadeveon Clowney having a good year quietly. I say quietly because I haven't seen a whole lot of press. In years past, all I heard about was the bad years he's having, but he's got close to an 80 PFF score, and that's pretty impressive for a guy of his age and stature and injury history in the NFL. Very quietly looking really good. And also one outside linebacker, a guy who I think we all know is having one of the most gorgeous wives in the NFL, Kyle Van Noy. Um, he's having a good year too. This where it's a triggering name, Andy. If we need a moment, I can hold you. But Kyle Van Noy is also having a good game on the other side. Smells like pressure from the Baltimore Ravens from the outside.
Yep, and honestly, that'll be what they probably try to do. Is they have to get to Goff. You can't leave Goff as clean as he was with the Bucs, but at the same time, you're going to leave yourself open, and especially with Gibbs coming back, they're going to have to be worried on multiple fronts about that. But yeah, Clowney has looked better this year. I don't know if I'm worried about him, mostly just because of our offensive line and the way it's been.
Yep.
Like their leading sack guy is a defensive tackle for them. It's kind of a funky. Yes, exactly. And it's they funnel around the outside. They try to hope that the quarterback will push up to a failing center or a failing guard, and really the Lions haven't allowed a whole lot of that. So it's gonna be interesting for sure to see what kind of pressure packages they bring.
Yeah. If we talk about the way things are looking as far as their defense is ranked 3rd overall. Offense is ranked 9th. The team as a whole is ranked 5th by PFF. Looking at some of the fantasy projections, 20% chance only for Lamar to have over 300 yards. They're looking at 19 for 31 for 219 yards. Gus Edwards, 47 yards. Chance for over 100 is 7%. 58 yards for Zay Flowers, 11% to get over 100 yards. Those are all pretty low numbers. I mean, that's kind of juicy if you're a Lions fan.
And that defensive ranking is really interesting to me because they really haven't played any good offenses yet.
Yeah, it's true.
They've played some okay offenses.
Yep.
And, they've looked good against the teams that they've played. But, they also have 2 losses that, they've given up points. It's happened to them.
Yep.
And they really haven't played anybody of any toughness yet. I think that Ben Johnson and the Lions will give them a real handful with what they can handle, and we may see their defensive ranking drop after this week.
Yeah. Good question, Jeff Gibson. Curious, if we would lose this game, does the momentum stop? He doesn't think so, but what are our thoughts? What do you think, Andy?
No. The loss to the Seahawks didn't stop the momentum, and I'm talking about momentum that started in 2022.
Yeah.
To end that season. I think this team knows what they are. I don't think it's, I think momentum is real, but I think for the Detroit Lions, it's not so much momentum as it is belief in themselves that they are the better team.
Yes.
All they have to do is do what they should do, and they will win. And that's been true this year.
And that loss to the Seahawks may be one hell of a blessing in disguise because I think it brought some folks to reality. And it didn't stop the momentum, but it was the reality slap that said, no, we got to put it in, right? It's the thing that really just kind of gave them the AEG shock back to, oh yeah, we've got to do this thing, and brought it up. Interesting. Also, when was the last time we had 4 wins in a row on the road? Before we ask that, Andy, what was the record for road losses in a row that we had? It was in the 20s.
Oh, it was horrible. I blocked that out of my memory like Jared Goff blocks out interceptions. I really yeah, but I want to say like 28.
Yeah.
It was a ludicrous time frame.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know. Maybe you can tell me, or somebody in chat can tell us when the last time they won 4 road games in a row.
I mean,
that's hard to do in the NFL, no matter who you are.
Yeah, I thought I saw earlier the Lions haven't done it since 1934. I don't know if that's true, but I believe it. You know what I mean?
I feel like all the records that the Lions are breaking from the mid 50s, early 60s.
Yeah.
They've only allowed this amount of rushing yards in the first 5 games. 6 games. It's like they haven't done that since 1942. Like, good Lord.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's crazy. All right, so there we are. Let's anything else on this Ravens game that you want to keep an eye out for, Andrew? Andy.
Yeah, it's going to sound so weird, but I'm worried about Kyle Hamilton. Is that his name? Did I say that right? Headhunting.
Interesting.
I'm worried about our shorter wide receivers catching the ball and taking a helmet or a shoulder pad right to the face. I think,
6'4",
I've read somewhere that he's caused like 4 concussions this year, 2 of them last week. And it's a little concerning, but we're coming up on the bye, I guess. But I hope that Goff does a good job and keeps our wide receivers safe from the human missile.
Yeah. If he could only go the Louis Delmas route and missile his own team, gosh, that would be fantastical. A fantastical mystical tour, right? Professor Zook, thank you, sir. Very, very much. 3rd super chat in the live stream, $50. Thank you very, very much for the super duper chat. We appreciate you, man. That's really kind of you to do that and share with us like that. It means a lot. There we go. We got all that going on. We got your preview. We got your post view. You got your innie, your outie, your upside outie. Andy, so are you going to join on the post game this week? We never even talked about it. I don't want to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. It's like, oh my goodness.
Oh, I'll be there. You guys are going to get me 3 times in 10 days.
You're getting a full dose of Sandman. Party lights for Sandman.
Yeah, there we go.
That's absolutely fantastic. Please do be sure to follow Sandman7773 on the Twitter. You get it. You get the whole X version now. It's great. He's one of I have very, very few people tagged to be notified when they tweet, and Andy is one of them. It's less than one hand. His stuff is that good. He's got a great sense of humor. He finds the good stuff. The Bears blocking where they were at the end, it was like, hold me. So funny. I hadn't seen that anywhere. I mean, even Pat McAfee leans to Sandman's tweets to find content for his show. I mean, what are you talking about? Sandman7773. Also, don't forget about us on Patreon, patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. Get access to the Slack chat, which is the most intelligent Lions chat on the internet. It's like 350 smart people and 4 dumb ones. It's a great place to go, great time to be. Get your access. $5 or more per month on Patreon gets you access to that Slack. Also, follow us on the Twitter at DET Lions Podcast, at DET Lions Podcast. It's the place to go pants free, and Sandman7773. You may have a little bit of pants sometimes, but it's always good stuff. And on TikTok, it's DET Lions Pod. I think it's DET Lions Pod. I gotta look at that. Check it out. It's good. It's great. You can link to it from DetroitLionsPodcast.com. We have the link on there, so you can go check that out. And we got great TikToks going up. Ash is throwing those up like crazy. It's fun. And also give us a call on the Skype. If you use your Skype app, you do Detroit Lions Podcast, all one word. Detroit Lions Podcast, or call us on the Lions line, 248-782-8384, 248-RUB-YOU-FUG. Zook, I was in Tampa on Sunday. Where were you? I was in lot 6. I told the story at the beginning. I have to ask you to go back to check it out, but it was a day to forget. Be sure to go to DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Subscribe to the podcast. Do it on all your favorite little podcast apps. Do it on the YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Do those things. We appreciate it. Helps us out a lot. And when you do that, you get to hear us all through your bones, rocking, jiggly jaggling your manscaper while you're chicken. Don't just be careful. Don't nick yourself. It gets exciting. We don't want you to do that, but it's great stuff. If you're going to do the pants-free lifestyle, do it at manscaped.com. Use the code DLP, 20% off and free shipping worldwide. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to see you next time on the Detroit Lions Podcast. Remember, no pants, no toasters, no hot tubs, no journalism, and no problems, because we are your Detroit Lions and Reddit connection.